Check the mic and make sure it sound right, boys.
In the meadow we can build a snowman. I love singing this because I just keep on hearing my voice. Anyway, hi, I'm Random Extra, here with Wellspring Immigration's 5 for 5, the Canadian immigration topic, or Canadian immigration fact show, in which we cover 5 topics within 5 minutes. And on the other side of me today, this December the 18th of 2021 is...
Hello everyone, this is Mingqi from Wellspring Immigration. I'm a regulated Canadian immigration consultant.
So today, we're not really talking about immigration, we're just going to talk about winter activities that you can try in Canada. So you can come over as a tourist, you can come over as a permanent resident, but these are activities that aren't necessarily the stereotypical go play hockey, go skiing, go snowboarding. This is going to be something a little bit different. So hope you're excited. I'm excited. Mingqi looks really excited too. So we're gonna move into the first one just as I start my 5-minute timer. Here we go. Mingqi, what do you got for number 1?
Well, I'm going to talk about polar bear swim, aka a polar bear plunge. It's an event held during winter where people literally go swimming or sometimes they just dip into a lake or river. Like I said, it's in the middle of the winter, so the air is usually extremely cold, but the water is warmer than the air, though it is still freezing. So polar bear swims are usually held on the New Year's Day to celebrate the New Year. It's a New Year's tradition in numerous communities across the country like Calgary, Edmonton, Vancouver, and Halifax. Apparently, there is the Lake Louise Polar Bear Swim in the Canadian Rockies. Someday, I would like to go there with my family. So speaking of the Canadian Rockies, are you able to come up with other activities in Banff?
Why Banff? Why ask Banff? It's always Banff. Banff this, Banff that. It's like, yeah, okay, all right, Banff. Banff is a good place. So there are a number of hot springs in Banff National Park and actually the rest of the Canadian Rockies, and some of them have been turned into pools you can soak in all year round. And you're probably wondering, what is a hot spring? Well, that's a great question. So the real basic description of a hot spring is that water that is heated deep in the earth and bubbles up to the surface to form pools or creeks, and that water has a lot of dissolved minerals in it. And usually it kind of smells like rotten eggs, but people like to swim in it. So anyway, all of the different hot springs in Banff have different kinds of minerals and temperatures, and it is extremely relaxing to immerse yourself in a steamy, hot mineral water. Plus, you have spectacular mountain views all around you. And like I said, you can also do this both in the summer and the winter when it's minus 30 degrees and snowing all around you. So speaking of snow, speaking of ice, what's number 3?
Well, let's go skating. So going skating on the world's largest skating rink, which winds its way through downtown Ottawa. So each winter, roughly from January to March, the Rideau Canal is turned into a giant ice skating rink. When open, the skidway is free and accessible 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. Not only can you take your family there, it's also a romantic idea for a date. Just remember to wear enough coats to keep you warm. So what's the next one you got?
Well, the next one also has to do with ice, but this one's ice climbing. So let's go back to the Rocky Mountains, which I really love. How about something that you could do before that relaxing soak in the hot spring that I was talking about? So ice climbing is just like it sounds. You climb ice. But this ice is generally in the form of frozen waterfalls. Now, I wouldn't recommend just finding a frozen waterfall and start to climb it. I mean, there's a lot of safety precautions you need to use, as ice can be a lot less stable than trying to climb rocks, which is why there are a number of ice climbing lessons and courses that you can take around Banff, Canmore, Kananaskis, or Jasper during the winter months. Now, one of the great ice climbs, and actually ice walks as well, occurs in the Maligne Canyon, depending on how you say it, outside of Jasper. This is a canyon that's usually full of waterfalls, and in the winter, with a proper guide, you can walk on the river inside the canyon and climb those waterfalls with rope, ice picks and cleats. So yeah, I'd love to do something like this because you're in this canyon with all this ice and it's just so beautiful. Anyway, speaking of beauty, What's number 5?
The Northern Lights. So remember in November 2021, a lot of people in Alberta and BC posted pictures of spectacular Northern Lights. So actually, Yellowknife is the best place in the world to view the Northern Lights. Great Northern Lights viewing is usually from mid-November to the beginning of April, but late summer to early autumn often offers a good chance of seeing the light. A lot of people are curious if people can hear the sounds Northern Lights make. On rare occasions, the Northern Lights do make sounds that you can hear. So if you've been there and you heard it, share your experience with us.
Absolutely. So when I was younger, actually, Northern Lights came down to where I was living in Canada, and I did hear them. It kind of sounded kind of staticky. Anyway, we're out of time. That was 5 minutes. So thank you very much for tuning in. Either you're watching it on video or listening to our Spotify podcast. I'm Random Extra for Wellspring Immigration's 5 for 5.
And then this is Ming Qi. See you next time.
So if you have any questions, any comments, leave them down below. And you can also visit wellspringimmigration.ca if you're interested in coming to Canada, whether as a visitor or a permanent resident, or however you want to come to Canada. So take care and Merry Christmas.